This is a next video in our series of videos for therapists who'd like to know a little bit more about how to do hypnosis, how to help people go into a trance. This particular video is going to be a little longer than some of the others that we're going to be putting out. The thing here is we're going to focus on induction. It takes a little bit more explanation. I often talk to a lot of therapists who have experience doing hypnosis and, or I should say attempting to do hypnosis. They have a lot of issues just in the beginning stages with doing inductions. Now, what an induction is, in my definition, is taking someone's attention and bringing it down to focus on just one thing. Because when we come down and we focus on just one thing, we start accessing trance. And that absorbed attention in one thing really just kicks that trance in, a very light trance. And when I've talked to therapists, they tend to be confused about how to do inductions because a lot of their inductions just don't work. A lot of times they're trying too hard, or they're using someone else's techniques and playing with them, and it doesn't go as well as they'd like. Some inductions that I've tried over the past have not worked either. I remember one, it was about having someone count backwards from 100. And I remember this one lady I was working with, after a little while of that, she had her eyes closed and she's like shaking her head. And then finally we stopped the induction and she says, "I think the problem is I hate math." So having numbers was not working for her. So I needed to have a little bit of flexibility to have an induction that didn't use numbers. I've heard other people who use beach inductions, like they have the client focus like they're on the beach. Well, that can work, but it might not, because what if, number one, the person's never been to a beach? Or maybe they have a negative connotation about the beach. Something terrible happened there and they can't relax. Maybe they've seen Jaws too many times. Or maybe just they don't like the beach. Same kind of thing with visualizing a path. Excuse me. When they visualize a path in the forest that you can go deep. Sometimes that works, but what if they don't like being outside? What if they have trouble visualizing? So, to me, the best induction that I found in my clinical work is what I'm referring to as the body awareness induction. And all that is having your client pay attention to their body, to focus on their body. Now, when we focus on that one thing of our body, we can't help but begin to go into trance. So, here's the easiest induction I can share with you. After a couple of minutes, if you're doing this right, they are there. Now, they might not be in full somnambulism where they're totally passed out, but you don't need that a lot of times. You can just beginning the trance work, and this might be as deeply as you need them to go, or it can be a gateway to that deeper and deeper trance. And all I have them do is this. I get them comfortable, I have them just relax a little bit, and I get them to focus on their body. Usually just one part of the body. The first thing I do is, as they're beginning to relax in their chair, again, focusing on shoulders. And the reason I say shoulders is we're focusing as a therapist on shoulders. We're seeing when the shoulders rise as their inhale, shoulders drop is the exhale. You want to speak on the exhale. This is very important. Okay. So, as you're getting them seated, they're comfortable, you made sure they're comfortable, and they're beginning to relax their breath a little bit, have them focus on one thing, one part of their body. And I usually start with the hands. If they focus their attention on the hands, all that stuff that's happening out here comes down to this one area to which the person focuses on. And we can start to see very quickly the trance state. So I would do something like this. And as you're sitting comfortably, you can, if you like, begin to focus on your hands. 'Hands. 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 ' And as you focus on your hands, it's like being inside your own hands. It's almost as if your hands are so relaxed that it's like you're feeling them from the inside. And as you focus on your hands, you can pay attention to the top part of the hand. Or you can pay attention to the middle part of the hand. Or you can pay attention to the bottom part of the hand. When you really pay attention to those hands, you may begin to notice some things about those hands. You may begin to feel those hands in a different way. You may notice how those fingers in those hands feel from the inside. And I don't know if your left hand or your right hand feel differently. And I don't know if both hands are now equally relaxed. But as you focus on those hands, you may experience something that you might not have noticed up until now. Okay, so focusing on the hands. When you focus on the hands, you can notice the hands. You can see how one hand may not feel differently than the other hand. All of this is pulling the attention to one thing, the hands. So you can start with the hands, you could start with the shoulder, you could start with the foot, you can start with the legs, you can start with the face. I mean, just by relaxing the jaw and focusing on the jaw. I mean, people carry tension all the time in their jaw. That's a great place. You see, no matter what, your client always has their body with them. So if you're teaching them indirectly how to relax the body, this is a skill they can do anytime, any place. They don't have to visualize numbers. They don't have to think of a beach or follow a path down the woods. They can just focus on one part of the body. It's like they're feeling that from the inside. They're noticing all these things. And within a couple of minutes, if that, the person will begin to have their attention absorbed in that one thing. And then when you've got the, let's say the hands all, talked through and they're really focused and you can see where the blink reflex is almost stopping, that's a sign of trance. Move it to the forearms, move it to the shoulders, move it to the throat, move it to the face, move it to the legs, and continue to build upon that. Because when they focus on one thing, their bodies, then they have the power at any time, whether you're there or not, to relax. And they could go into trance on their own. And we all know trance is a great feeling if we've been there. So try this out. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully you can get away from doing a lot of the progressive relaxation, which requires more activity on the part of the client than they may be willing to do. All this requires is just for them to pay attention to one thing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.